What's going on, guys? This is Foresight Capital, and today I wanted to give a quick update on the Palantir trade that I've made a few videos about over the past few days, and it's playing out almost exactly as expected here. Palantir is down about 12% this morning, and a lot of that is technically driven. Now, I believe it was Morgan Stanley that came out with an underweight rating and a price target of $17 per share on Palantir, which you could say is a catalyst for the sell-off that we've seen, but I would argue that it's realistically all technically driven here. So this chart I drew at the beginning of the week, and so far we've seen a big step down with some consolidation before another step down, more consolidation, and that's just repeated every single day. We're now on to Wednesday price action, and we're seeing the exact same price action. So this green buy level is where I've been saying all along that I would add more to my position, and I want to see us hold this price level before I am personally buying more shares. I do have 100 shares of Palantir right now with an average cost of somewhere around $27 after averaging down with some covered calls. And I do plan to enter a pretty sizable position somewhere in the 300 to 400 share range if we hold this level. Since yesterday's video, I've just added this one trend line that we've seen here, which is basically the all-time high trend line, and we've been using the stair-step method down and holding this trend line. So what we've ultimately created is a little bit of a wedge here. We've got this thick red line, which is really just the trend line that we've been following since the end of October with Palantir. As we can see, we started back here in the roughly 1050 range and have used this level as support multiple times on this big run up and are now coming down to test it again. In fact, we just used it this morning in the 9 o'clock hour right after the market opened as support. We broke below the support level, but ultimately didn't close that candle below. And one could say that we realistically used the 200 period moving average, which in this case is an hourly moving average, as support for the stock. And now we've bounced back to right at the green buy level, which is just past support before this insane run up that we had from about $22 per share up to $33. And we've come back to test that again and ultimately haven't closed any candles below this level, which is key because that seems to me that the stock might be seeing a little bit of a bullish reversal here. We've had a huge bear pattern over the past couple of days, and people are starting to take their profits on shorts and buyers are starting to come back in. We're getting some oversold registerings on the RSI. We're running into support lines and we're really getting wedged here. So I wanted to kind of highlight how this could ultimately play out. And we're dealing with some very fine lines here on whether or not this ultimately continues to look bullish or makes a quick reversal back to the bearish territory. So this green buy line and this red trend line that we've got that has basically been established since the end of October. If the stock price falls below this green buy line and then gets squeezed by this red trend line that we've got and closes below this red trend line, which we should run into in the afternoon hours of Wednesday or early morning hours of Thursday. If we're squeezed below this line, that's going to be a bullish or a bearish look for the stock, and we could see a fall somewhere to the $18 or even $14 per share range, which is where a lot of people actually think that the stock should currently be priced. So if we see that bearish action, we could see buyers pull their bid orders and the stock price could fall pretty rapidly. However, if we trade in this range above the green buy line and we get squeezed into this downtrend line that we've just established over the past couple of trading days and get pushed above it, we could really see the stock take off because that would be a bullish indicator that we've held support, we've broken the downtrend, and buyers could start coming back in and bidding up the price again. We've also got some nice downside support here by this long-term trend line that we've established. So if we break a downtrend, we've got support by both a support line as well as the long-term support line. So like a short-term support line from basically the past week's worth of price action and the long-term support line from about a month. That's very bullish for the stock, and we could start to see it reverse in price and start going back up, possibly running towards this yellow buy line, which again we've already broken, but you could consider this as sort of an entry point if you want to see how the stock price plays out after starting a new bullish trend here. You could wait and see if we get some volume and some heavy buying action into this yellow line before ultimately buying, and you've still got a lot of room to make a nice healthy profit. That's just all assuming that you're wanting to day trade this stock or at least get a good entry point. If you're looking to buy this for the long term, right now seems like a great opportunity to buy. Again, just technically speaking, we're starting to see a little bit of a bullish look, and if we can see this stock price trend sideways and get squeezed above this downtrend and ultimately break that trend, we've got this little intersection here where there's just a lot of things that could go on, and we're going to run into that, as I mentioned, in Wednesday afternoon trading. So definitely be on the lookout for how this trades over the coming hours. And personally, if it were me, and again, do your own research and buy where you feel comfortable, but if it were me, I wouldn't be buying Palantir until we've determined whether or not we're going to start a new bull trend or whether we're going to continue this bear trend and get squeezed downward to the $18 to $14 per share range where analysts are thinking the stock should personally, where they're thinking it should be. But if we do see a little bit of a bull run here, again, I think I'm going to hold off until we're ultimately trading above this green line for about a full trading day, and I'd really like to see some volume come back in. So I've got the volume lines pulled up here. As we can see, there was some promising volume this morning. So when we had this big sell-off below the long-term trend line and touching the 200 period moving average, we saw a big snapback in price. In fact, this candle went from a high of $23.35 per share all the way down to $21.15. So we lost 10% in this one candle, but bulls really rallied it back to close above this line, which shows that it is pretty strong support, both the long-term trend line, the 200 period moving average, but specifically this green line here that has been highlighted since the beginning of the week. It would seem like weak support because it was really only used once or twice, and it was only about a week old before seeing this big spike in price. But that's what we want to see, some consolidation along a support line, and then a huge spike means that that could be very strong long-term support, and so far we're seeing that. So just kind of my thoughts on how this stock could play out. Again, if we start seeing pricing in this little gap between the green line and the red long-term trend line, you'll want to see if it gets squeezed below or pushed above this green line by this long-term trend line. And we're going to see those two converge over the next couple of trading hours throughout Wednesday and possibly Thursday morning. So personally, that's when I'm looking to enter, is when we see a consistent price above that green line and we've gone ahead and broken this little downtrend that we've set over the past couple of trading days. So that's just a quick update this morning. Again, it's Wednesday morning trading on how I think that the stock could play out. So we want to see whether or not we get this short-term bearish trend or the long-term bullish trend is going to win out once they converge. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe if the video brought you value. I'll keep updating as Palantir trades throughout the week. Catch you in the next one.